What are you starting to lose interest in? Story 1. All this AI stuff. I can't go through my day without another product shoving their AI feature to my face. Answer. AI is obnoxious. I work as a designer for entertainment and environmental design. We did some work for one of the big companies that is supposed to be absolute cutting edge for AI, and they kept making us use AI-generated stuff in the design. It was hell. So ugly and clunky. So garish. It felt like they asked us to make a sleek, cool design, and then gave us a big steaming bucket of dog shit that we had to work in. I would quit if that became my job, especially if they start trying to use it for the whole design, and then have humans double-check it. I can guarantee it would be many a day before it made any sense on its own. Story 2. Everything. My hobbies that I don't have the time or drive for. My studies that are leading to a shoot career field. Even my job that I didn't even care for much to begin with. Everything in general. Answer. I'm sorry, friend. I hope it's okay to say, but this sounds like depression to me. I used to feel this way a while back, and occasionally still do, but it passes easier. So I understand that everything can feel hopeless and empty sometimes. It's hard to look forward to the future when you don't feel connected to the present. I hope you can find joy in your life again, no matter how small that joy is. Story 3. I'm sick and tired of tech. The noise everyone's phone makes, the AI shoot all over the place, stuff being shoved down my throat. I just want to live in peace, damn it. Story 4. Making friends. It just always seems one-sided, and I really don't feel like being someone's therapist. 247. Answer. I'm sure you may have tried this, but maybe find a club to join. I started playing recreational hockey in my 20s and have formed some of the best relationships I have ever had. Now, I'm married with fam, and I'm my 50s now. But it still applies. I see people coming into the league all the time and making friends. It's a pretty amazing community. I'm sure other sports leagues or social clubs might be the same. Good luck, friend. Story 5. Movies and series in general. Not sure if it may be getting dopamine fried by short-form content, but it's very rare to find anything that feels compelling or bingeable. Doesn't help that everything is a remake of the same IP, I bet. Answer. Many series now have multi-year gaps between each season, so it is far too hard to be invested. I forgot when the hell I watched Stranger Things last, and it feels like the child cast are probably nearing their 30s now. There still are good movies, but they get lost and almost wiped out in cinema releases. Also, many movies are just the 9th sequel or a reboot, and they are so heavily revolved around being safe and studio noted, it becomes hard to enjoy at this point. The most recent Jurassic Park reeks of studio notes. Story 6. Food. I still eat, but everything tastes boring, even when I eat out. I'm sick of cooking and trying to rotate through various recipes so I'm not bored. And yes, I season the food well. I have a shelf of 20 seasonings. Eating just doesn't feel novel. I wonder if that's why so many older people have little appetites. Not 'cause of metabolism, but because it's a chore. Story 7. Eating out. Used to fudge love going out to eat with friends, family, etc. Now it's just way too fudge expensive. Not even fun anymore. Took the joy out of it. Story 8. Sadly, my favorite hobby. I've played the guitar for 27 years. I love to play and sing, but I never find myself alone anymore. Between kids and husband, I just kind of stopped, and now it feels blah, just blah. I'm really sad about it. It feels like I lost a part of myself. Answer. I dealt with something similar over the last couple years as a musician that fell out of love with it for many reasons. Please don't get rid of your guitar. Don't give it to your kids, lest they break it. There's a decent chance that at some point, you'll pick up your guitar, yours and yours alone, and it'll make you smile instead of cry, and that'll be a good day. I know the feeling of losing a part of yourself. It's not lost, though. It's still kicking around in the back, if you ever find yourself trying again. Story 9. Playing video games. The second I get stuck, I turn it off. There are already enough problems in my life, LOL. Story 10. Endless. That show was great until season 6 series. If a plot can't wrap up before my hairline recedes, I'm out. Story 11. Dating, working, traveling, expectations, my parents' unrealistic needs, cards, birthday holiday, etc. AI technology. To be honest, it's nice only being interested in things that actually interest you and accepting everything else is trivial. Story 12. Trying to be good and nice and kind because karma apparently doesn't exist, and sometimes I wonder if God does. Story 13. I was coming in here to say life thinking it would be a unique answer, and now I'm upset it isn't. But today I picked up a book for the first time in a long time, made a proper dinner, and started my grad school application. Come on, y'all. I, for one, won't let the evil people in the world outlive me. I have some graves to piss on in the future. Story 14. Society's hyperfixation on ensuring the masses are as lonely, bitter, and paranoid as possible. Oh, and then also feeding them a solution with AI, aka the thing destroying our planet almost as fast as fossil fuels. Story 15. Trying to keep up with new slang. Just found out no cap doesn't mean someone forgot their hat, and at this point, I don't care. Story 16. Life. It seems all we are allowed to do is be cogs in the great machine to keep the rich as they can be. To slave in a job that you are not celebrated in while they increase prices and keep you chained to your oar as you desperately cling to your pittance of a life and seek to get away from reality with the entertainment they provide to keep you asking questions. Think for yourself, question authority, and die a slow, painful passing of your soul. Story 17. News. The current administration is openly working to destroy the United States, and the news media are complicit, treating the dismantling of the country like a red versus blue debate instead of as an existential crisis for the nation. Story 18. Everything. Literally. And the kicker is everything was better and more magical in the 80s and 90s, as everything is more magical when you're a kid. But everything was just better in general. Music, movies, games, video games, toys, stores, sports, TV shows, fashion, friendships, the seasons, the holidays, you name it. Now, as a middle-aged adult living in the crappy year of 2025, I feel that magic is just gone, like completely vaporized. Going to the movie theater used to be an event. I went twice a month family and friends in the 90s. Now the quality of films is way down. Going to the arcade or the mall. Dead. Not a thing anymore. Xmas was the most magical day of the year as a kid. Now, it's somewhat depressing. Halloween is not a thing anymore. There are barely any trick-or-treaters out in my town, and I remember the streets used to be flooded. Even going to haunted houses or haunted hay rides was magic. Thanksgiving? Not the same anymore. My family seems fake now. I could care less about the summer. I just work all week anyway and trade my time for money, and the summer will just come and go as it's already more than halfway through as I type this. Yet, those 2 months after school was out, magic, music? Only a few artists over the last decade or so that I've connected with. Rock is dead, yet there wasn't a band from the 90s that I didn't not like. Literally, friendships? I have 0 now. Everyone has moved on and is living their own lives, married with kids or fake, or dead. Stores? Blockbuster. Toys R Us, Kmart, Sam Goody, Strawberries, the Warner Bros. Store, Sears, my dad's favorite store, all gone now, and then some. I don't watch sports anymore as well, yet I used to be a huge Chicago Bulls fan. Couldn't wait to watch NBA, basketball, and watch MJ play during the Bulls' reign in the mid-90s. was also a huge Red Sox fan. Nomar Garcia-Parra was my favorite player, and I didn't want to miss an at-bat. Manny Ramirez. I couldn't wait to get home from school and watch the Sox play. Now, I don't even know one team member. I used to also love watching golf with my dad. Life has gotten hard, and being an adult in the year of 2025 just sucks. I wish I could go back, savor more in those better years, correct some mistakes, and take all those impactful moments in again with friends and family when it came to video. Games, music, movies, etc., or just walking around the mall during the holiday shopping season. The smells, the sights. People were less uptight and happier, going to the arcade, looking forward to it all. Now all we can do is reflect and attempt to learn as we keep on pushing forward. Answer: I really feel this. It's not hyperbole to say things have gotten shittier over time. Pizza Hut is the perfect example. Back in the 90s, their pizza, particularly the personal pan pizzas, were delicious. That thick, buttery crust was made in-store and tasted great. Now they get their dough shipped in because it saves a few pennies, but it's not nearly as good. In the process of making things cheaper and squeezing every last penny out of everything, things have only gotten worse. And I'm certain it's not just childhood nostalgia making me feel that way. Technology has gotten better, but nearly every other aspect of life feels worse. Story 19. Everything. Lost my baby girl at 25 weeks pregnancy recently, and a lot of things don't have the same meaning anymore. Story 20. Long-term relationships. I used to want them, but the older I get, the more I realize that casual is the way to go for me. Story 21. Eating. Can someone just send me nutritious, balanced food pouches? I don't want to think, I don't want to cook, blah. Story 22. Honestly, work. I just turned 60 and had a 2-week backpacking adventure through the Rockies, Grand Tetons, and Yellowstone with my truly awesome wife. I've been back for a week to a career that I've loved, but I'm sputtering like a 1980s moped. I have the resources to retire tomorrow morning and have had the ability to do so for a decade, but I just can't seem to let go. I truly enjoy my work, but something clicked when we wandered up Grand Teton Peak. My body is back in Michigan, but my soul remains with the chipmunks on Grand Teton. Story 23. Going to the theaters. Shoot so boring now, it's just such a drag. Movies suck nowadays, and my ADHD jerk can't sit in a dark room for 3 hours bored. Story 24. Work. I just want to retire and leave the rat race behind and sail, read books, dance, play music, chill with friends, make bread and cook yummy food. I'm about 8-10 years out from my goal. Story 25. Podcasts. Used to love them, listened every day and found new ones I like all the time. Is it just me, or have they all gone to shoot? Everything just feels so recycled and soulless. Story 26. Smartphones. Everything needs to have an app. Everything needs to track my data. Everything needs smart device integration. Can't leave the house without your phone at all SMH. People complained about too many customer cards, but honestly, I'd rather have those instead of the endless amount of data partied too hard on apps. Want to do your groceries? Can't get your rewards without the app. Some even lock you out of store discounts. Want to park? Loads of parking machines have been removed because there's an app for that. I got a water fountain for my cat, and even that thing has an effing app. Want to see queue times in a theme park? Download the app. Want to find a cool nature trail route? Paper maps? What are those? There's an app for that. Want to order something at a restaurant? There's no app, but you have to order via a digital menu and QR code. That's also how you need to pay BTW, and they still have the balls to ask you for a tip. This is the biggest boomer take I have, and I am ready to die on that hill. Story 27. Honestly, physical contact with women. I'm 45, but I've always had a weird issue with this. When I was younger, I would have very robust, intimate life with my girlfriends, but without fail, after a certain amount of time, I would begin to not only lose interest in physical intimacy, but actually be repulsed by it, especially if I was living with that current girlfriend. It's almost like the more domestically comfortable I got with them and emotionally connected, the less physically attracted I became to them. I still was in love, but intimacy was a chore I avoided and made excuses for. But now, it's become like a permanent thing. It's so weird. But just the idea of going through that whole song and dance feels actually ridiculous and immature and adolescent. I feel like I'm too grown up for intimacy. The same way I would feel if I went to a Brooklyn rave tomorrow night, it would just feel goofy. Like I'm an adult, this is kid stuff. I should be at a half-empty bar singing drunken karaoke on stage, not dancing with glow sticks and a Superman cape at some rave, right? Story 28. People and their needs. I'm so sick of other people needing me to reinforce their own beliefs about themselves. Story 29. Social media and Reddit. Too much ultra-curated stuff that doesn't actually represent the real world anymore. It's been that way for a while now, and I'm really over it. Story 30. Marriage. I'm tired of watching my mother fight for her marriage and her husband do everything he can to make it fail. She's miserable, and so is he. It's just sad. Story 31. Photography. I used to enjoy it, but as the dream starts creeping in that I'll never become the photographer I wanted to be, I haven't been too motivated to get back into it. Story 32. Work. Having a booked-up schedule. Waking up to go to work, house hunting, planning for the future, trying to save. Paying $30 for a man's haircut, watching the news to name a few. Story 33. Job shoot, man. Expectations are through the roof and salaries through the floor. And please, don't even get me started on toxicity. Story 34. Video games. Corporations have fudged the industry up big time, and it's harder for modders and indies to create exciting novel stuff. Gaming needs an evolutionary leap forward, big time. Story 35. I really have been into producing music for most of my life, but now that AI can be used for literally everything including music, I've just lost hope in that. Corporate giants can just replicate any style of music with AI, and people probably won't notice because it is simply sounds. Story 36. Texting. As I get older, I just don't care about texting at all. My friends will send me a multiple MSGs all the time, and if I don't respond, they get annoyed. I just wish people would either call more or wait to talk in person. Story 37. Small talk. I dislike beating around the bush. I'll go straight to the meat of the convo, much to most people's chagrin. People think I'm being confrontational now, but I don't really care to chit-chat anymore. Story 38. TBH. Started losing interest in binge-watching Netflix. Sounds wild, right? But FR, I find myself craving more real, tangible experiences now. Guess it's quarantine burnout, LOL. Don't get me wrong, I ain't hating on Netflix. But sometimes life's gotta be more than just another episode, you know? Others feel this too, or it's just me. Story 39. Work. Computers, applications, scripting, AI was all designed to get shoot done faster. 4-day work weeks should be the norm. Instead, companies just expect 10x the output of their employees by requiring them to use these technological advancements to make life easier. Story 40. PC building gaming as a hobby in general. The community is obnoxious, entitled, reactionary, and completely out of touch with reality. Being priced out of the hobby doesn't help either. A modern mid-range graphics card now costs like a month's worth of rent. It's just not worth it anymore. Story 41. Streaming series that should have ended after one season. OS's The Intrude and update like rabbits breeding. cheery automated voices in public places, gas station pumps with panels that scream ads in your face, and you just want to pump the fudge gas. All to say, late-stage capitalism. Story 42. Democracy. Nobody wants to defend it. Nobody wants to listen to facts. Nobody wants to perform even the most menial of patriotic chores. I have honestly questioned my commitment to the ideals of democracy when nobody seems to want to do what it takes to make it work. At this point, I'm hoping for some sort of benevolent despotism. Story 43. The rat race. The longer I live, the more apparent that my naive young brain thought positivity, drive, and being good at something could get you far. In fact, it's mostly luck of time and place. Story 44. Talking to anyone I don't know already. I've given up any caring because legit every single person I've tried to be friends with has dropped me or ignored me. Story 45. Social media. I love Reddit because there's no expectation for me to reply. But socials? No. Story 46. Right now, everything. I probably need to try a new antidepressant. I feel much less emotional passing spiral, but even though I'm not having constant meltdowns, I'm also just not motivated and struggle to enjoy my passions. Story 47. I miss the days when tech just worked without constantly demanding my attention or trying to revolutionize every mundane task. Story 48. Always sad to see people post about losing interest. The past 3 months or so have been the only time in my life where I can say I am genuinely interested or passionate in anything. Friday and Sunday were hard days for me, but compared to any time in my life since I was about 8, maybe 9, I feel my interest in food growing. Art and media inspires me. I'm rediscovering music. I'm slowly starting to read again. I'm trying harder to socialize more. I hope that everyone that feels their interest fading can read this and know that your spark can come back. Even if it feels like the fire is gone, you never know when that ember can come back. I wish mine would have come sooner, and I don't think it will be easy for me to become the man I want to be. But at least the world has color again. Story 49. Drinking. I used to love getting tipsy and sloppy. Now I dislike the idea of waking up with a headache and ruining the following day for myself. Story 50. Keeping decorum over business emails. I'm exhausted with all the kiss-jerk speech talk that sometimes I just want to send emails super blunt and to the point without fear someone will be offended. Story 51. The future. We've fudged the planet, commodified everything within an inch of its life. Dating is awful. Having kids is financial tragic and owning a home is out of the question. And the worst part is no one in power has the balls to do anything to help. Edit. Yes, this is doomposty. No, I am not going to harm myself in any way. Just read it to myself and thought this was apt. Story 52. Art. Used to love it when I was in my early teens, but as I get older, it just doesn't resonate with me anymore. Story 53. Video games. I've always loved them, but I've just lost the drive to play them. It's annoying, because they were always something to look forward to, but they just don't give respite anymore. Fudge growing up. Story 54. Not lie. Everything. Everything seems oversaturated, overdone. I barely go on my phone. I don't want to shop. All books feel the same. Everything is so basic and conformed. I feel like I'm losing interest in literally everything because none of it feels new or exciting. I'm 23, and it's depressing. Story 55. This guy who can't seem to make up his mind about me. One minute he wants to be with me, and the next minute he's not sure. I just told him to stop contacting me. Story 56. This is going to sound very depressing, but literally everything. Food tastes too processed. Water tastes off. Working in marketing is exhausting when AI comes into the conversation. which is often. I want to do more things with my hands. I am creativity deprived. But nothing sounds enticing because my brain always wants to turn every idea into profit because I have immense financial anxiety that never goes away. I've recently turned back to Buddhism again, and I'm remembering why I got into it in the first place years ago. Story 57. Women. The whole dating scene. The faux interviews that masquerade as a date, and the whole process of getting to know someone. I'm seriously losing interest and would just rather make money and have fun with my friends than to deal with that whole kerfuffle. Story 58. Dating. I have all the parts women say are lacking in men. I love to cook, clean dishes, do laundry, 101 faithful, substances, and adult beverage free. Honesty, love, romance films, and have a heart full of love, but will never have enough money to buy a home. And with the simple issue, I might as well be a ghost. Almost 2 decades of no women interested in men, not even a first date so whim, just over it. And lack zero engagement or motivation to even bother putting myself out there anymore. Story 59. Explicit videos and plant substance. I'm in my 20s and those two used to be really exciting. But now that I'm older, I've realized 2 things. The videos were hurting my self-esteem, and the plant substance was allowing me to avoid coping with my depression. I won't get righteous and say everyone should do the same, but there's something to be said about examining your vices. Story 60. Video games, I completely lost interest in them. Unless a friend invites me, or unless that game is chess, you won't find me playing any video game at all. Story 61. Smoking plant substance. Been a daily smoker for like 10 years, just become 30, and I'm just done with it altogether. Had a 2-week break over a holiday originally, tried it once again last week, and I don't like how it makes me feel anymore. Story 62. Women. I've done the therapy. I do the gym. Lots of people tell me I'm smart funny. I have good hygiene. I dress well. I speak clearly. I have a firm but friendly handshake. Everything you can think of as advice, I've got it. I even make 6 figures. And no, there's nothing wrong with my face. So far, I can attract much younger women. No real potential. Certain single mothers who need therapy, financial aid, and a gym buddy. And apparently elderly gay men. On the rare occasion I can attract someone within a realistic demographic, they typically end up being wildly sexist, abusive, or otherwise mentally unwell. I've heard all the tired lines before, and I've been told it must somehow still be my fault more times than I can count. I try to encourage myself that there must be some sane, single woman out there with at least reasonable health, stable finances, and more personality than a saltine cracker that might be interested in me. But my experience continues to refute that idea. What's a rational person to do? Story 63. Kinda at a plateau right now, already lost interest in video games, replaced with reading, better sleep, and less of a dopamine roller coaster. Vaguely interested in artificial intelligence in a Schadenfreude sort of way. If I'm aware that something uses AI, I avoid it. I turn it off in DuckDuckGo. Conflicted. I like Firefox, but they added some AI nonsense. I like the learning and entertainment avenues from Reddit, but Reddit made a deal with Google to feed the latter's AI nonsense, so those two are circling the drain for me. Might end up just using text-only browser links and making do with reading books and gasp talking with people IRL. Story 64. Video gaming. It's been happening for years now. I haven't really bought a new game in almost 2 years. But the issue is also twofold. At least they're not making video games I like. There's no Mass Effect 2, Cody 4, Battlefield 3, Fallout 4, Witcher 3, Deus Ex or Crysis-like games. So they're not making games for me. Then also, my budget isn't what it once was. I'd like to play Doom the Dark Ages, but I just don't have the money to spend $70 on a single game. So they're not making games I really like, and it's getting so pricey. Thus, I'm just losing interest. Story 65. Drawing. I used to make sketch when I was a kid, everywhere possible. Now my hand is stiffer holding a pencil and not as imaginative as before. Story 66. AI. Now everything is AI. Nothing is programmed to do X thing anymore. We barely have smart lights and smartphones, and you want to tell me we have AI running everything? Sure. Story 67. Drama. As a teenager, that was probably the most interesting thing to talk about with friends and always spilling the tea. After high school and moving on as an adult, there's so much going on, so much to do, that drama just becomes noise, wasting emotional energy. Story 68. Having to work with people I'm not really friends with 40 hours a week. It's fine, but we don't have to do that much work and pretend we like each other. I don't have 40 hours of work a week, but somehow I have to pretend that I do. Story 69. Hearing about data-driven decisions and ROI like these are new concepts, and the idea that ROI for a salary means every freaking minute accounted for. We need time to absorb and invent and improve. Doesn't happen when the mouse needs to keep moving. Story 70. Everything, man. Even passions that I never in all of universal infinity believed that I could get tired of these streets wearing us all down. Story 71. AI. I see so many people using it for work and school and stuff. I know I'm Gen Z and I'm meant to be interested in all of this stuff, but it just seems like people are getting too lazy when it comes to this. And when you actually get tested on it because you've used AI, you're probably not going to know the content or the content might not be factually correct. Story 72. Humanity. Been advocating actions for climate ever since I was a teenager. Been vocally against the rise of far right from around the same age. Both went to hell. I don't know why I keep fighting. I won't make any kids here anyways anymore, so have it as you will. Story 73. Gaming. Lately, I'm not in the mood to play even the games that I usually enjoy playing so much, such as Geometry Dash and Hotline Miami 1-2. I've canceled my Google Play Pass subscription because even though there are so many amazing games to download, it was more of a liability considering I rarely download any game and complete it. Though I've lost interest in gaming, I'm excited to play more journaling RPGs such as Chrome Hammer, Ascension, and to implement systems such as Mythic Game Master Emulator in 2nd Edition to create compelling solo RPG playthroughs without the need for a game master. Writing, especially in the form of solo journaling RPGs, is far more fulfilling than just enjoying video games. Story 74. Everything all of you have already said. As a kid growing up in the 80s, I don't even know how we got here. Story 75. America. As a non-American, the news in nonstop. Literally every major subreddit on this site has a daily top-posted political piece. Every American you interact with will assume you're American unless you state every opening comment with non-American here. And this week's Team World Cup just showed up how much a true and genuine disaster the World Cup and Olympics are going to be. So the two biggest sporting events in the world are going to be absolutely destroyed by Americanisms and the God complex that country has, which has been amplified even further by their elected egotistical maniac. It's just so fudge exhausting with how much space they take up. Don't get me wrong, a solid 80 of the American interactions I've had are fine, but it's just so fudge claustrophobic. Story 76. Rap. Used to be listening to so much hip-hop, rap, trap, and all that. Meanwhile, I have just completely lost interest in what they're saying. Intimacy, substances, suck my male body part, diamonds, ops, blocks, keys, Zans, X, lean, and some more intimacy. Like Future is 41 years of age, man. 41. They all getting old and feels like they don't have anything else to say. Story 77. Gaming. How many hours I spend gaming? If I had just spent half or even less amount of time on working on myself, doing sport, or learning a language. Don't get me wrong, it's fun and can be really relaxing. But there are other activities that do much more for my well-being. Story 78. I used to love video games. Now I genuinely only like single-player games, and even then they have to catch me in the first hour, or I am just bored. Story 79. Internet discussion websites as a whole. In 2000s, early 2010s, there were so many interesting discussion-based websites for whatever topic you could think of. Over the past decade, it seems like most of the discussion on these pages became consolidated into a few social media websites. It became very homogenized, regulated, and lost a lot of its charm. Story 80. Making music. From ages like 17 to 30, I was incredibly invested in making music, having that be a creative outlet, etc. For much of that time, my goal was to make it, as in become famous. Then it became to just become known enough to be able to be financially stable off of music. Then it became, I just want to make a great album that people talk about through the ages, like Dark Side of the Moon, or even something more niche like Music Has the Right to Children. And then it became, I just don't really care anymore. There was a period where I was enjoying it just for the sake of doing it. And then after a time, I realized I was putting so much effort into trying to feel that eventually I just threw down my hands and asked, do I even enjoy this at all anymore? Once I gave myself a year's break from music, not even to try other things, just to alleviate myself of the stress. I've had a very hard time trying to get back to it since, even though I would like to want to do it, if that makes sense. I still noodle on my acoustic guitar, but I haven't actually sat down at my workstation with all of my equipment and tried to produce a track in a very long time now. That room in my house basically feels like a mausoleum at this point. I also just can't help but wonder if it's causes by external things. The state of the world, being in the 9-to-5 grind now for a decade, and just being too tired to do anything in the evenings, etc. In other words, if I didn't have to work, I really wonder if I would naturally gravitate back toward it. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I've completely lost interest in the 9-to-5 LOL. Where the fudge is the 4-day work week, at the very least? It's 2025 for God's sake. Story 81. Video games. I love video games for more than half my life, but now I just don't get the same excitement or satisfaction of completing a game, and trying to finish a long game just feels like a chore now. Story 82. Video games used to be a fun pastime, but are now just competing time sinks of rehashed experiences, trying to keep you stuck in universes that are suffocating people with microtransactions. Story 83. Society in general. The lack of empathy from U.S. persons while seeing the government disassembled really takes the wind out of my sails. Story 84. Magic the Gathering. Card game. They started bringing in unique cards that you can only buy for less than 2 minutes on their special website. You put it in your cart and are put in a waitlist queue. Then, 3 hours later, you find out that it is sold out and no longer in your cart. And prices have gone insane. For a box of 180 cards, from a new set it can be as much as $1,300. It's crazy. Even for the cheapest version of the cheapest box of the set, it is $220. For reference, 5 years ago, boxes were about $130. On average, for the first 25 years of the game, they averaged less than 4,000 cards a year. In the past 5 years, they averaged over 10,000 a year. This year, they are going to hit 13,000. There is too much product to keep up with, and it is too expensive. I've been playing for decades, and I enjoy the game. But these last couple of years, I just create fake versions, called proxies, for pennies when I used to devote thousands, because I can't spend the tens of thousands to keep up. It's just so sad. I love the game, but I'm just done supporting it. Story 85. Reading my copy of the NYT. It seems as if every other article is about Trump. The editorials are quite often about Trump. His name is plastered the headlines of the articles. His pictures are numerous throughout the paper. I used to read my Times daily and have had a subscription for years. But now I often feel like ending that subscription. It's not worth it just to play Wordle. Story 86. Social media. People are too chronically online and it's changing the world we live in for the worse. Story 87. Video games. I've started to replay all my old favorites because big publishers have just ruined narrative-driven choice. I can barely find any games to enjoy anymore. Between microtransactions, DLC, and being forced into always-on multiplayer, good RPGs and unique strategy games are especially hard to come by. I also have 2 kids, so it's just not as important as it used to be. Don't get me wrong, I want to enjoy new games again, but the quality of the design has fallen off a cliff the last 3 to 5 years. When my kids are old enough, I'll introduce them to all the old favorites across each platform I grew up on, even Commodore 64, and I'll sparingly play newer titles with them, likely restricted to Nintendo Switch since it'll be the easiest. Story 88. TV movies. I feel like having so much choice is actually making it a chore, and there's now a much higher threshold on anything I watch to grab my attention and keep it, which I acknowledge poses challenges for movies and shows trying to tell a fleshed-out narrative, but it is what it is. A recent conversation I had with some friends on this really drove it home for me. They were recommending Andor. ID mentioned I started watching the first one and it didn't grab me. They tell me it starts to really grab you once you're about 3 episodes deep. And in thinking to myself, I have to watch 2.53 hours of something before it gets rolling? On the bright side, I've started reading a lot more instead. Story 89. Getting married. 'Cause my long-term BF of 5 years wants the comfort of a relationship without a commitment. 'Cause maybe I am not worthy enough. So, I am no longer excited about it. Story 90. Video games. I've been gaming for over 30 years. At this,